And a good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome in Chase and Big Joe, 1025 The Game. We are live today at Tennessee Brew Works down here right on the outskirts of downtown, right off the 2nd, 4th Avenue exit. Got a nice crowd in here having some lunch, having some brews. That's where we're going to be today, and we're looking forward to it. Got a great show planned for you. Chase McCabe alongside Nick Frazier, who is back at the studio. Big Joe is on a plane headed to Delaware with the Blue Raiders as they get ready to take on, are they the Blue Hens? Is that right?
I believe so.
Is this Blue Raiders versus Blue Hens? I think,
You
but
could call it the Blue Bowl, maybe.
the Blue Bowl, yeah. MTSU taking on Delaware tomorrow, so he unfortunately is out today. But we're excited to be here at Tennessee Brew Works. Got a great show planned. We're going to check in with Joe Rexrode at the bottom of the hour. I always like talking to Rexy sometimes, and he is a part of Big Joe's favorite show, Robbie and Rexrode, 6 to 9 a.m. here on 1025 The Game. Vanderbilt, Titans, just a lot of different things we can hit with him. 1 o'clock, our usual visit with Tim Hasselbeck, Innsworth head coach and ESPN NFL analyst. And then at 2 o'clock, Max Herz is going to join me live at Tennessee Brew Works. And we're going to talk some Preds with him. They're back in action tonight at home against the Anaheim Ducks. Looks like Brady Martin going to be back in the lineup. Against the Ducks. So a lot to get into in the early part of the season with Max Herz, and looking forward to having him. But we start things out. Our question of the day, and I've put it on X on my account at Chase on Game. We've retweeted it from the 1025 The Game account, and it is a very simple one. It's a poll question. 7 games in, are you saying Cam Ward is a bust? That's it. Yes or no? Do you think Cam Ward is a bust? 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And our question of the day is presented by Aries Tactical. Your safety, your skill, your Aries Tactical. Check them out at ariestactical.com. My answer is no. I'm not ready to say he's a bust. And this narrative is out there. There are people writing him off. And it's like, do you not realize what has been happening or not happening around him? That you drafted this kid number 1 overall. There's already pressure with that. And then you have a coach that was inept at being a head coach, was not good at calling plays. He gives up the play calling duty to a guy that equally isn't great at calling plays, even though he's done it before. And then you just have this mess around him where the roster's not very good. You fire the head coach. You have a receiver in Tyler Lockett that just asked and was granted his release, so he's gone. Now you have a couple of rookies that I think have played well. You have an offensive line that has played better, but still not great. So how can you truly sit here and say this kid's a bust based on everything going on around him? Are there things to be concerned about? Absolutely. I'm not saying there's not. I'm not writing an excuse for him. But to use the B word and say, oh, no, they've busted on this pick. He's terrible. He's never going to get better. I have a hard time going in that direction. 615-737-1025. Nick, what says you?
I say he's not bust either. It's just it comes down to there were too many cooks in the kitchen for him. You listen to Nick Holtz, you listen to Bo Hardigree, you listen to Brian Callahan. Now you have interim head coach Mike McCoy in the mix of it all. Now I think there was just too much around him to where he couldn't really flourish as a true quarterback. Now, don't get me wrong, he has had his fumbles, his turnovers, and so forth. But that's something you can fix. And Jake and I were kind of mentioning at the end of the show is that's something he can fix this offseason. This is, again, people keep looking at this as a microwave issue. You got to let this bake a little bit. Put it in the oven because
that's a great analogy, Nick.
If you give him enough time in the offseason to build chemistry with Chimdike, Alec Alamaner, that's where you need to build it off of is this offseason, not now.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's where you're going to have to, and that's why I think you need to listen to Mike Morganzi and no one else, and let Morganzi be the one to do that. And I heard you guys on Next Man Up talking about trading people and all of that. And I know there's a report that Jeffrey Simmons, is off the table, which I think is the wrong move. Nothing against Jeffrey Simmons, but that's the guy that's going to bring you the most value. And just being real with you, I would rather maximize that value now than worry about having him for the new stadium because he's still probably going to be effective, but he's going to be on the downturn of his career. And it's like you just, as much as you want him to be a part of the next core and the greatness of the new stadium, I just don't think that is the wise move when I believe you can get draft assets for him. Now, look, you can push back and say, well, if you trade him, the first thing you got to do is find the next Jeffrey Simmons, and that's fair. But, the next Jeffrey Simmons could be 4 or 5 years younger, and you have him longer. So, look, you can hold on to him. You can wait out for your price, but I wouldn't hang up the phone when anybody asks, if somebody asks about Jeffrey Simmons. That's just me. 615-737-1025. Some text already weighing in. Chad says 100% no. A text that came into you guys, which I thought was interesting, 2527. Cam Ward is the 2025 combo version of Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota. Lots of hype, little substance. But again, I think you have to weigh in the circumstances that there's, he hasn't had a ton of help around him. Now, there's concerns about holding on to the football. There's concerns about, that he's dropping it or holding on too long, waiting for the play to come, and then he gets himself sacked. Those are concerns, no doubt. But do you really trust what's been around him to coach that out of him? Dustin in Hopkinsville says no, but it's in his head, I think. Dude's got his back against the wall in every aspect. The line is sus, rookie wide receivers, decent ones, another coach in 7 games. He needs to slow things down, simplify, get back to fundamental football, build his own confidence because we can be our own worst enemy. Try to go out there in front of thousands screaming boo one week, then Vrabel the next. It's tough. He needs to focus. 100%. 100%. Ryan in Florida. No, the same people who said yes are the people that boo McNair. Interesting. Jeremy, I think it's too early to call Cam a bust. I have faith that this organization can make him one, though. That's the problem. Do you trust the Titans to be able to get this right and fix him? That I don't know. Let's just throw some names out there. If they hire Mike McCarthy, while he's not my first choice to be the coach of this team, I will say he's been very good at developing quarterbacks. He was a part of developing Aaron Rodgers. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think McCarthy even coached Favre.
Really?
I think so.
They may have overlapped in Green Bay. That's right.
Yeah, let me look this up. I think that is correct. So McCarthy was hired in he was the quarterback's coach in '99, so he would have coached Favre then. He was hired in 2006. I want to say that was Favre's last year with Green Bay. Yeah. So they did overlap. He did coach Favre, and then Rodgers took over. So he was a part of that development process with Rodgers. And so, okay, I'd be cool with that. But I think Arthur Smith is another one that I think if given the right opportunity and having the right staff, he could make Cam better and develop Cam. If you went with Matt Nagy, he's another one. I mean, he was a part of Mahomes, so there's certainly some plus there, but there obviously are concerns that have to be coached out of him. I think we know that.
Yeah, you mentioned Arthur Smith's name just now, and I know you and Joe are kind of on the camp of, bring Arthur back. That'd be great. I'm in that camp a little bit. I'm kind of playing the fence. The only concern I have with Arthur Smith is that the previous spots he's been at, minus Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers, he hasn't really had a quarterback. And if he has had a quarterback, that quarterback has not been fully developed. It's been a rookie quarterback. Even when he had Marcus over in Atlanta with him, it was a touchy-feely situation. If you bring Arthur Smith to Nashville, what the pro is, he knows the system. He knows how to deal with the front office. That's all the pros.
Yep.
The cons is that he doesn't have a fully developed quarterback. And I'm not saying he can ruin Cam Ward because that could go either way. I think it's more on Cam Ward than it is the coaching staff. But if you bring in a guy like Arthur Smith, who is kind of learning with the rookie quarterback Cam Ward, and in this case it'd be the second year, that's my biggest concern. Whereas if you bring in a Mike McCarthy, he doesn't know the Titans front office system per se, but he knows the relationship with him and Chad Brinker, if that does play a factor into any of this. Because if that is the case, then he has that one thing to rely on in the front office. And then you mentioned a great point that he could develop a young quarterback in Cam Ward.
Well, and let me ask you this. Just think about this. Arthur Smith in Atlanta, who is his quarterback?
Desmond Ridder.
Coming out of college, day one, don't see them play a snap in the NFL. Are you taking Cam Ward or Desmond Ridder?
Oh, Cam Ward.
Right. So he's already going to have a better quarterback to work with, if he comes here than Desmond Ridder. I think, I'm going to die on this hill that Art got a raw deal in Atlanta because he never truly had a quarterback. And I don't think they gave him enough time. And I know you can say, well, Chase, they don't give coaches time anymore, and they don't. And I think that's a mistake in some places. But, like here, yeah, you knew pretty quick, okay, Brian Callahan's not the guy. Move on. But I think in Atlanta, I was surprised by this. I think Arthur Blank moved too quickly, and I don't know if that's because there was the intrigue of talking to Belichick, who he ultimately didn't hire, or if there were people around him telling him that, hey, we just don't think Arthur Smith is truly the guy. I don't know what happened. But he never had a quarterback that really could run his system and he could develop. Marcus, I think he thought, okay, we had some success together in Tennessee. He can be the stopgap. And look, it's like we all know, Marcus Mariota is not a starting quarterback. And so I think that was a part of his problem. He gets another crack at it. He's learned from some mistakes. Like you said, he knows the lay of the land. He knows Amy. He knows the players, meaning the people he's going to have to deal with above him. And I think that's what makes that a good thing. But the question is, whoever gets the job, how do they view Cam Ward? Do they think it's just like the last time around when Vrabel got let go and they interviewed people? How do they view Will Levis? I don't think Brian Callahan ever really truly had faith in Will Levis, but I think it was, hey, I'll give it a shot, and then you have to trust my judgment if I tell you he's not the guy. The same goes here. But I think, people that are saying, oh, Will Levis is better than Cam Ward. No, he's not. Let's just listen to yourself when you say that. 615-737-1025. We'll get to your calls and texts. Got a lot of texts on this simple question. Is Cam Ward a bust through 7 games? Yes or no? We're live today at Tennessee Brew Works here on the Chase and Big Joe Show, 1025 The Game.
Did it just slip on that play, that fumble?
Yeah.
That's 2 weeks in a row. What's going on?
Got to hold on to it tighter. But really, just got to continue to emphasize it within myself. Got to be better at it. I know that's something that, I can't continue to let happen. I got to cut that out next week.
Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Tuesday live at Tennessee Brew Works. Come by and see us. Got a nice crowd in here right now, hanging out and having some lunch, drinking some cold brews. We're here all show long. Max Hers will join in the final hour, talk some Preds and other things with him. He's also a Vandy grad, so I'm sure that's going to come up at some point. But taking your calls and texts right now, our question, 615-737-1025. Through 7 games, do you think Cam Ward is a bust? He's fumbled 2 games in a row, not holding on to the football. That's a concern. But does that make him a bust? Knowing what all has been around him through these 7 games. Is he on the YouTube chat? Don't think Cam is a bust, but I feel like the team is worse this year than last year. That's Abel. Yeah, I think we knew this roster was not going to be very good going into this year. Back to the text line, 9756. Not a bust, but poor value. I see why you say that, because he was taken number 1 overall, but if you had him in the draft the year before, he wouldn't have been the number 1 overall pick, and I think we all know that. So I understand that. Adam in Portland, people who think Cam is a bust this early are the same people who talk loudly on a speakerphone in public settings. Just the worst people. Thank you, Adam. That's a good
spot on.
That's pretty good, actually. Donovan and Franklin, he's not a bust. It's entirely too early. I don't know how many times we have to see young quarterbacks struggle their first couple of seasons and then get better with good coaching and a supporting cast. Nobody knows 7 games in. And again, I'm glad you brought up the coaching. He's had terrible coaching. And look, I mean, what he's got now, yeah, you made the change and you have an interim coach and all of that, but I don't think that's much better. You're still got the same people. So I think you got to see what this looks like once they bring in who the next guy is going to be, if this organization can get that right. 6638. Yes. Oh, my God. Yes, trade him like we did with A.J. Brown and get a younger model. Will Levis, I think maybe you're talking about, okay, he's probably talking about Jeffrey Simmons. Will Levis' stats are better than Ward's. Can you coach his hands and make them bigger? No, you can't. And stats don't tell you everything. You can't get the full story with stats. 1812 says another first-round bum. At least the Titans are consistent at one thing, and that's drafting first-round bums. 7 games in. Justin and Greenbrier, no, he's not a bust. Cam wasn't my first choice, but I like his attitude, and he has a good head on his shoulders. He needs time, like Nick said, time with a consistent situation and with his receivers. That's how I feel. You got to give it time. Let's go to the phones. Trey wants to weigh in. Trey, what's up?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good. Hey, I wouldn't say that he's a bust yet, but he's trending that way. And I say that because people want to blame, the players around him, which is fair. You can put some blame to those players. But if you just see, like, the framework of what he does on the field is not good. It really isn't good. As far as, fumbling the ball, throwing the ball to the ground, when you got players wide open, not changing the plays up, on the line when you got a full-fledged blitz coming at your head. Like, these are things that, like, high school kids pick up. And he's 20-something years old. He don't know what to do, the basic fundamentals of playing quarterback. It has nothing to do with the other players. We want to see improvement in him, if he improves, the team improves. And y'all have a good day. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Trey. Appreciate it. I agree with you, but I think coaching has a lot to do with that. And if you are poorly coached, I don't care how talented you are. You can count on one hand the quarterbacks that are going to make the coach better. And I think we can all name them. Cam's not that way. He's not that guy. At least not yet, and I don't think he ever will be. So therefore, coaching is important. He has had terrible coaching since he got here. We saw signs last year that Brian Callahan was not the right guy, and they made the right move by getting rid of him. Now they have to make the right move by getting the right guy for Cam that can coach Cam Ward. When they go through the interview process, they have to sit there, they have to look the guy in the eye, and they go, do you think you can coach Cam Ward? And then they have to be good enough to decipher, is that BS because they want the job, or is that truly this guy can coach Cam Ward? That is what they have to determine. And that's where I honestly have no idea if this group that is going to be led by Chad Brinker is competent enough to get that right. That's the concern. And that should be your concern. But again, I stand on, you can't sit here and say he's a bust through 7 games based on what has been around him, both player-wise and coaching-wise. And I feel like a lot of you feel that way. Zach says, Mike McCarthy would not be a long-term hire, in my opinion. I believe Arthur would be a longer-term solution, and I do believe he could develop a quarterback. He made Ryan Tannehill look much better than he did in Miami. Would just have to actually be patient with him to get it done. Agree with that. And look, this is the other thing. I like Alec Iomanner. I like Chim DK. But you got to go find Cam Ward, his A.J. Brown. Because Tannehill had A.J. Brown. A.J. made Tannehill better. Tannehill made A.J. better. They worked together. It's just like you look at other situations around the league. Look at what Mac Jones is doing right now. Did y'all write Mac Jones off? I did. Nick, did you write Mac Jones off?
Absolutely.
Right. And look what he's doing right now. You know why he's doing that? Because he's in the right situation. He's got the right coach who continues to take what some people will call bums and make them into these pretty good, I'm not saying MVP caliber quarterbacks.
Serviceable.
But serviceable. And they have the right people around them. You got to make this the right situation for Cam, and then you're going to be able to see something. That's my thing.
Chase, you made a comment in the, I'd say, first segment about, setting up for the next head coach coming to Nashville. For me, and I'm going to go back to Arthur Smith real quick. When he was in Atlanta, obviously didn't have a starting quarterback that was developed in Desmond Ridder, but he left that situation, now is in Pittsburgh, has a developed quarterback. For me, it's not about Cam Ward being developed by the time he's with Arthur Smith. It's more of, I don't trust the Titans, I guess, staff right now to develop Cam Ward to be ready for Arthur Smith. Because look, if Cam Ward is ruined by the time the next head coach comes in, which is very possible, then it looks bad on Arthur Smith, because then it goes to show, well, Arthur Smith can't develop a young quarterback, which in reality he probably can. It's just that's the perception that's going to happen in the national narrative that's going to happen because of the situation that he was put in the season before he got there.
Yep. I could not agree with you more on that. 615-737-1025. Keep the texts coming. But coming up next, Joe Rexrode from Robbie and Rexrode and The Athletic is going to join us. I'm going to ask him this question. I think I know his answer, but I'm going to ask him this question, and we'll discuss Vandy and some other things with him. He joins us next. We're live today at Tennessee Brew Works. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Chase and Big Joe live today at Tennessee Brew Works. Having a good time, and our show is presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. Big Joe is on a plane headed to Delaware with the Blue Raiders. But right now we talk to another Joe, Joe Rexrode, one half of Robbie and Rexrode mornings from 6 to 9 here on 102.5 The Game. Rexy, how are you?
I'm great, Chase. How you doing, buddy?
Good. So you're driving, you're road tripping, right?
Little road trip, little take a kid back to school, do a little, got some work to do up there, also up in East Lansing. So,
That's a good time.
multitasking.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join me today. So I'm going to ask you our question that a lot of people have been weighing in on. It's a very simple one. I have said no, just full disclosure. But through 7 games, is Cam Ward a bust?
No, I don't think anybody through 7 games is a bust. I really don't. I mean, half of this league now is like some of the best quarterback situations in this league are guys who were given up on after way more than 7 games. So no, I mean, again, I think that's people who want to apply that tag at this point are they're just trying to rile people up. I mean, that's not to me a reasonable take. Now, if you want to ask, do I believe he's going to end up being a great quarterback? I'd say no there too. Well, but I said that coming out of the draft. I don't know that he has all that you need. But I'm keeping an open mind, and I think we've seen, talent for sure, some good things, and it's just so hard to judge him because of what's around him. As the context of what's around Cam Ward makes it really difficult to have the conversation because it's just like how do you divvy up like whose fault is this and that? For the most part, with the Titans, it's all about a blame pie, not a credit pie, because it's so bad.
Joe Rexrode is with us. And one thing we've talked about is the coaching wasn't right. I think we realized relatively quickly that Brian Callahan wasn't the right fit. And so now it is even more important for the Titans to find the guy that is going to be the right fit for Cam Ward. There are plenty of examples across the league of, look at what San Francisco's done, that you get some guys that were cast-offs and viewed as busts, and Shanahan turns them into serviceable quarterbacks that go on and get their second opportunity somewhere else. So do you trust this Titans brass led by Chad Brinker to find the right guy that is going to be the right fit for Cam Ward?
I would say yes to that, Chase, but I would tell you that I believe they could get lucky. I think it's possible that they don't screw it up. I mean, look, obviously Borgonzi's new, and I tend to agree with Garski. Like, so far, we don't have a lot of evidence that says Borgonzi is screwing things up. So he may be very good at hiring a coach. So, I don't distrust him. Even with Brinker, look, obviously he's been here for a lot of bad stuff. But when they hired Brian Callahan 2 years ago, everybody celebrated that, right? Like, that made sense. And the whole point was, this is a guy who knows good quarterback play and has been around good quarterback, was there with Joe Burrow from the start. So, of course, you'd want him with a young quarterback. So, it's just like they need to get the coach right, and it doesn't have to be the coach. It doesn't have to be the quarterback OC coach. It can be just a good head coach who hires his own good OC. But they also have to, get a right tackle who can play. They need so many other things personnel-wise also to make things possible for Cam Ward to be good.
Do you have a top 3 for your candidates of who you would want?
I haven't thought about it in those terms, but I can come up with one right now.
I'll tell you mine, and you tell me what you think. Arthur Smith, mainly because I think he's a much better coach than we saw in Atlanta, and he knows what he's getting himself into. So he's number 1. I have talked to people that have convinced me more on Matt Nagy, that Matt Nagy, again, better coach than maybe you saw in Chicago, and then Robert Saleh. Those are my top 3.
That's amazing because I think I might have the same 3. I don't know if it's in the same order, but I thought I might be different from you with Saleh. But no, I think Saleh with a good OC could be really good. I know how bad it went with the Jets, but again, I think with the Jets, you kind of, like you just have to put an asterisk next to anybody who was with the Jets in the last few years, right? I mean,
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you have to kind of do that with the Titans too. But no, I like those. I think, like I agree on Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith might be my third choice, just because I think Nagy might be my top choice. And McCarthy is another guy who obviously Mike McCarthy is another guy who, I think makes sense, and he's had success obviously as a coach. He's won a Super Bowl. But I also wonder if maybe his best days are behind him. And game management stuff does matter. And I'm really it's just too much of a common thing with him. Nagy, I'm with you. I think if people really look at that, what goes to the playoffs twice, I think, with Trubisky, right? He was NFL Coach of the Year one year. Eventually they run him out of there because Chicago, that's what happens in Chicago. And so, I like that. That might be my number one choice. I might go Nagy, Saleh, Smith. And, I like Arthur Smith a lot. And it's kind of the same thing. He didn't have a quarterback in Atlanta. The only thing we've talked about the whole thing, knowing the landscape, and that's true. But also he was with this organization when things were going great, and Amy was awesome, and she was always around and going to tailgates. So he was out of there before things got bad and she started firing everybody.
Well, he was with this organization when Tommy Smith was running things too. So he's seen that.
True. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. He's got the institutional knowledge of the family and all that for sure.
Yeah, I just think the key would be if you went Saleh, you'd have to get the right coordinator. That's where I think I'd be okay with bringing in the guru to run the offense. I just don't want another offensive guru as the head coach.
Yeah, but with Arthur and Nagy, isn't that basically what you would have?
Yeah, well, okay, I should have said this better, but I'm fine with a guy that has been, is an offensive-minded head coach. I'm talking about the Cliff Kingsbury or, in Callahan's case that had never called plays or, trying to find the next, Shanahan or whatever. And that I just Joe Brady. I don't want any part of Joe Brady. I don't think that's going to work here. He's going to get a job somewhere and great for him. That's not what I'm looking for.
No, I hear that. And I think I'm just guessing, but I think a lot of times with a franchise, you have a particular type of coach who fails. You probably don't go do the same thing next time.
Right.
And I'm with you. I think Joe Brady might be great, but there is more risk when you haven't done the things he hasn't done, and some of these other guys we're talking about have done more, and that does matter.
Joe Rexrode is with us. Shifting gears to some college. Vanderbilt game day in town as they take on Missouri. Top 10 for the first time since 1947, I think is what it is. Diego, do you think Diego Pavia is going to be in New York come December?
I think he really gave himself a great boost beating LSU. But it's think back 3 years ago, Chase. You go back to this time in the 2022 season. In fact, you could go almost a month later in the 2022 season, and Hendon Hooker was going to win the Heisman. He sure as hell was going to be in New York, right?
Yeah.
So then they lose at Georgia. He gets hurt. They lose at South Carolina. He doesn't even get an invite, which I still think he got snubbed, by the way. He should have been in New York still. So it's it can change so fast. But right now, make me guess. I feel like they're going to be right now, I think 9-2 going to Knoxville is a real possibility. I think it's probably the most likely outcome. He's going to have some big time opportunities. The story, we had Ralph Russo on, today, and he said people like the stories, and he has a great story, and that helps. And plus, it's just not this loaded field right now for the Heisman. So right now, if you make me guess, I would at least get to New York.
So where do you think the second loss is? Is it Texas?
Yeah, and I don't feel confident saying Texas is going to beat Vanderbilt, which is just it's just crazy to say out loud. There's so many things to say about Vanderbilt football, and you're like, did I just say that out loud? God, but it's true. Like, I think Vanderbilt absolutely could go into Texas and take care of business with the way their offense is playing. But Texas's defense is still loaded, and just in Austin, I guess I'd pick Texas in a close game. I don't know, man. That's the one, because I will tell you, I won't be shocked if Missouri. I think Missouri Saturday might have as much a chance to beat Vandy as Texas does at home in the next game. So one of those two. I think they should handle the other two. And then obviously we're all hoping for like a win and in game in Knoxville, which would be just amazing.
Oh, 100%. That would be, I mean, I think that would be so much fun to watch. Joe, safe travels up to Michigan. Thanks for taking a little time to talk to us. Hopefully we made the trip go by a little faster for you.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I'll be here all day. So, yeah, anybody needs anything, just give me a ring.
All right, we'll do it. Thanks.
All right,
Thanks,
bud.
Joe. Joe Rexrode joining us here on the program. Of course, you can find his work in The Athletic and listen every morning from 6 to 9 with Robbie and Rexrode here on 102.5 The Game. We'll react to some of that. A lot of you still have texts about Cam Ward. Our question of the day, is Cam Ward a bust through 7 games? Yes or no? I say no. And we'll ask Tim Hasselbeck coming up at the top of the hour as well. I want to tell you that Smashville Live is back at it tomorrow night, Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue at 6 o'clock. You can see Predators players up close and personal and get autographs and pictures. It's going to be Adam Wilsby and Tyson Jost out there as the players that you can check out tomorrow night at Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue, right here on 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe live today at Tennessee Brew Works on 102.5 The Game. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier is broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. And Big Joe is traveling to Delaware because the Blue Raiders are in action tomorrow against Delaware starting at 6:30, and you can hear it all on 93.3 Totally Hits, Totally Nashville as well. Our question of the day, is Cam Ward through 7 games a bust? I say no. Nick says no. Joe Rexrode says no. But there are some of you that say yes. Ben says, yes, it is always more likely that he was going to be a bust than a franchise quarterback because most quarterbacks don't work out. Well, I don't want him to be a bust. He hasn't done enough to be 50-50 yet. And what I mean by that is if I have to answer the question, then I can't answer no. He most likely will be, even if I never saw him play. He hasn't done anything to prove otherwise either. Worst case scenario, I will gladly be wrong. He goes on to say the bad players and coaches around him can contribute to him being a bust also, which means he probably will be because of this organization. That's the thing that worries me about that. 5905, don't forget that Cam also needs a bruiser of a running back. Nothing against the current ones, but they don't scare defensive lines. That is an interesting thing, and I heard you guys, Nick, talking about on Next Man Up about, trade targets, and Tony Pollard was one of those. I do wonder if they go that route and just finish the year with, what they have with Tajay Spears and Chestnut and Khalil Mullins. But I do think, and that might be a free agency thing, they need to look at running back because I like Pollard, but he might be burnt out. Like, hey, I want to go somewhere where I could actually win. So maybe you do look at that here in the next couple of weeks before the trade deadline. But I think you're not going to find Derrick Henry necessarily, and I don't think you need to find Derrick Henry, but find somebody that can be an offensive weapon for you, and they just don't really seem to have that right now.
Yeah, Tony Pollard is one of those running backs that is a Tajay Spears, but an older version of it. He's that versatile back that was useful in Dallas, and then he came to Nashville, and obviously Brian Callahan tries to change the identity, in my opinion, to pass first, run second. Well, when the Titans all figured it out that their team wasn't great, they tried to go back to the old identity of run first, pass second, and that didn't work out because Pollard's been taking majority of the snaps, and he's probably wearing down pretty quick. If it's me and I'm Mike Borgonzi, you got to start shopping Tony Pollard because of that. He has plenty of tape for other teams to look at him, and if there's a team out there that thinks they're a Super Bowl contender that's one player away in the running back area, go grab them. But the issue is, and the only issue that I'm worried about with the running back position as a whole in the NFL is you can grab these guys off the street. I mean, look at San Francisco. They went through a cycle of running backs when Christian McCaffrey was out last season or the season before. And that's just the only worrisome issue. But like I mentioned Arizona earlier, obviously Arizona's not competing for a playoff spot. And they are competing, but not to the point where they're going to be a team hosting a playoff game or something like that. So as for the Titans, there's not a lot of offensive trade assets. I mentioned Chigakonkwo because we all see what the Titans have in Gunnar Helm. He could be a flourishing possibility going forward. And to be honest with you, Chigakonkwo has been underwhelming. And to the point of underwhelming, like they drafted him to be a pass-catching tight end. He's been not that. I mean, he's caught a few passes here and there, but he hasn't been that at all. I think he's been more of an extension of the offensive line, and he's uncomfortable in the position he's in because of that.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with you on that. That's very true. Caleb says people are confusing bust with him being in an extremely unfavorable situation with no weapons, bad offensive line play, and mix in rookie mistakes and learning curve, and this is what you get. No quarterback would be doing great and winning in this situation, in my opinion. Thank you. 100%. I could not have said that better myself because this is an awful situation for a rookie quarterback to be in. You've already made the head coaching change. He's already had 2 play callers this year. And, by the time you get to the start of next season, he'll have 3. So it's a rough situation to put him in. And, again, your hope is that this year's draft class continues to develop. I'm worried about J.C. Latham. That you talk about bust. I'm worried that he might be one. That right side is woof right now. Skoronski, I think Skoronski is probably the best player on the offensive line, but the offensive line still needs work. So you gotta fix that. And I don't know. Again, I think they're going to be in the situation where can you really fill every hole in one offseason, even if you do have a ton of draft picks? How many draft picks did you say they have in the top 100 right now?
I believe it's 3.
They got to double that.
Right.
Like they got it. If they go into this year's draft with 6 in the top 100, I would feel a lot better.
Yeah, I believe that's what I mentioned earlier. And also, Jake mentioned that the Titans in total this year have 7 picks. Look, if I'm a GM thinking this way, out of those 7 picks, if 3 of them are in the top 100, those 3 have to be guarantees. There is no room for error for the Titans right now. They have mishandled this whole entire situation. If you're going for those 4th round, 5th round, 6th round picks, you can take 1 or 2 pop shots at those, but primarily, I'd say some of those have to be guarantees as well in the 4th round.
So I guess they're predicting right now that how's that right? That the Titans would have the 6th pick. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But I mean, you'd have 6, 37, 68, 103, 186, 222, and 245. You got to do better. You got to add more.
Yeah, and I think
if you're going to trade Simmons, like I think you have to hold out for a late first, or at least a 2nd. But I would prefer a first.
Yeah, I think the only way you get a first out of Jeffrey Simmons, and again, this could just be la la land, fantasy land, whatever. Mike Vrabel's the only person that would give up a 1st round pick for Jeffrey Simmons in the league right now.
Yeah.
And he even mentioned it. I mean, he didn't mention it exactly, but I mentioned this to Jake off the air that, Mike Vrabel was on his little New England Patriots show. I guess it was Monday or whatever. And they were talking about just the banter between him and Jeff. And you know how Vrabel does his cryptic messages saying, oh, yeah, I love Jeff. Great player. The hamstring thing, hopefully he gets back healthier, better than ever. But to me, and Joe was right, even though it didn't happen on a Monday, it was mentioned on a Monday, but it didn't happen for a trade. I just think there's something in the works there, even though the Titans say he's off the market.
Oh, well, and here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that Amy has said you're not trading Jeffrey Simmons. And if Amy says you're not trading Jeffrey Simmons, they're not going to trade Jeffrey Simmons. And that's where she needs to stay out of the way. If Brinker and Borgonzi feel like trading Jeffrey Simmons would make this team better, then they need to do that. But herein lies the problem. That's where we're at. Coming up next, Tim Hasselbeck is going to join the show. We'll get his thoughts on this and much more. It's Chasing Big Joe live at Tennessee Brew Works today, 102.5 The Game.
Hey guys, Big Joe here again. I tell you all the time that you deserve the best in life, and where you live should also be the absolute best. At Reunion Township on 109, that is the best. Resort-style living with the luxury you deserve, nestled perfectly between Mount Juliet and Lebanon. I cannot wait for you to see this property. Reunion Township on 109 has 1, 2, and 3 spacious bedroom apartment homes, complete with attached garages, state-of-the-art living, and everything you need and amenities out of this world. The website is reuniontownship.com. Reuniontownship.com, and you can get 2 months free when you lease. That's right, 2 months free when you lease. Reuniontownship.com. It's resort-style living, quiet, spacious, and again, it's the luxury you absolutely deserve. Reunion Township at 109, the website, reuniontownship.com. It's living you deserve. Welcome home.
Hour number 2, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Tuesday. We're live at Tennessee Brew Works today. Joe is out as he is flying with MTSU, so that means I get Tim Hasselbeck all to myself, the Innsworth head coach and ESPN NFL analyst, who I watched last night as well, joins us now here on the program. Timmy, what's up?
What's up? Hey, I know Joe's claiming he's, going to the MTSU game, but he's probably, where is he, at a beach? Fire Island? Like where is he?
You never know. You never know with him, Tim. I mean, I did see a photo of him and the MTSU broadcast crew, so they might actually be going to Delaware. But and we'll see. I told him look for any honor for Joe Flacco because right now Flacco's looking awesome with the Bengals. So it'll be fun to see what he comes back with. But I want to start with the Titans and Cam Ward. We've been talking in the first hour. There is a narrative, and you know how fans can be, that even through 7 games that Cam's a bust. I think that's ridiculous. I think you have to factor in everything he's been through this year. He's had 2 play callers, now 2 head coaches. The team's not very good around him. Are there concerns? Sure. There are definitely some things that he needs to work on, but how do you view that in the narrative out there that he's a bust?
Yeah, it's way too early. Look, I was with the Giants, Eli Manning's second year. So, and it was his first full year as a starter. And that year he was, honestly, they were calling him a bust. That's what they were doing. And even into his third year, that same conversation was being had. And, a little bit like, what's gone on, not at the same magnitude. He had the same head coach, but there was a play caller change and there was talent that needed to be improved around him, and those things happened. And so, people were early to the party being like, yep, this guy's a bust. And I think I don't know. I just think it's dangerous to do that. I don't think it really makes sense to do that. I think it's way too early to do it. So, I actually did see, some of that going around, on social media and stuff like, oh, do we need to be concerned now? I think it's fair to be concerned, but the idea that, whether or not someone can play at this level, with what's transpired this year, I don't think that's accurate.
All right. So you're a coach. You played quarterback in this league. If you're coaching him, what are some things that you're working with him on?
Well, I think there are a few things. I think one, like I saw this come up, like, why does the ball keep coming out of his hand? Like, those are turnovers. So, like, fumbles are worse than interceptions. People don't talk about them that way, but they are. So, like what is it? I played with guys that, they used pine tar. I played with guys that used the stickiness of Coke. There were guys that switched to wearing gloves. That's why Kurt Warner switched to wearing gloves. He had stuff like that happening to him. So that's something I'd be concerned about that I would want addressed. Is it because the center's really sweaty? Like, there are a bunch of different things. Like, I'd handle those issues. Like, those lose games. And then what I would say is, like, look, we're going to play inside the structure of the offense. That's what we're going to do. Like, Caleb Williams right now is playing much more inside the structure of the offense than he is trying to create. I think it's helping him. It's helping the team. And so I think that is what, like, I would try to do. But, like, look, before we go outside of doing, what the design of the play is on a whiteboard, like, we're going to play inside of that. We're going to stay inside the pocket. We're going to get through our progression, and we're going to do it, with rules and structure. So that's what I would do, and I would, basically force them to do it. That's because that's what I think needs to happen in order to have success.
Tim Hasselbeck is with us here on the Chasing Big Joe show. He even said, when asked about that 38-yard touchdown to Chim DK, which was a beautiful play, he said he almost checked out of it. And obviously we're all glad he didn't because it turned out to work. But, is that just maybe a little bit of the hesitation because things have gone so terribly wrong to this point that there is that initial instinct to, oh, this isn't going to work, let me go to the safe play? And did you like that he was able to stay with it, take the chance, and ultimately get rewarded for it?
Yeah, I think in regards to that, I think what I would do is I'd do fewer package plays where you have the opportunity to do that, and say, like, I'd have more call and run it plays. And I know you could get into some bad looks by doing that, but yeah, I think what I would want to do is take so much of like the pre-snap decision making out of the equation and just be like, look, play what you see, like play like what you see and run the play, rather than, all right, hey, we had this play and you killed to the next play. And again, like fully acknowledging that, look, you might have a protection that gets blitzed. All right, we'll throw the hot. Like, prove to me that before you start getting into kind of what you're describing, Chase, like before you start getting into, I saw with that safety rotation and his width, like, I'm going to get out of this play into something else. Like, just prove to me that you can run the play efficiently that we've called. I think that, look, I've been around guys that were like early in their career. Like, I've seen them play in that environment and just play better football by doing it that way.
So how would you, if you're the front office for the Titans, how would you handle the next 2 weeks, knowing that the trade deadline's coming? You don't have a ton of assets, but you have some guys that could get you some draft picks, and this team, in my opinion, needs more draft picks next year, because that's ultimately what is going to fix this, is building through the draft. They've said as much. So how do you go about that, of trying to develop Cam now, but also maybe getting some draft capital with some of the few assets that you do have?
Yeah, I mean, it's a garage sale, man. Like, I think, like, I really do. Because, like, if you really look at it and say, okay, we've got a quarterback that's on his rookie deal, but we're going to have a brand new coach next year who's, going to have an opinion about personnel and things of that nature. He's probably going to have guys that he kind of has in mind. The roster should look, significantly different with a new head coach. So you take that, you take the fact that, like, so you probably at that point are more than 1 year away from really feeling like, okay, like we're building around a young quarterback that's still on his rookie deal. And so I think with that being the case, like, I think anybody that you can move to get draft capital, I think you do. And then I think the other thing that you do is that you then, work the street, the waiver wires, things of that nature, and you give opportunities to guys that maybe can play. Like, it happens all the time. Like, Rasul Douglas is a guy that comes to mind for me, like bouncing around people's practice squads and stuff. And then before you know it, becomes one of the higher paid corners in the league because he had an opportunity to play. Where was it? Dallas? I forget where it was. Green Bay. It was one of those places. Yeah. And it was like, all right, hey, you know what? Like guy can play. Cause that happens too. Like, that happens at tight end. It happens at guard. It happens at safety, happens at corner. And so, like, I don't think you can be afraid to be playing guys that you're signing off of other people's practice squads or off the street.
Do you, I don't know how familiar you are with Xavier Restrepo, obviously was with Cam at Miami. Yeah. There's a portion of the fan base that just wants to see him on the team, even though training camp, the combine would give you indications that he's not ready for the NFL at this point.
Yeah.
But knowing their relationship, knowing that was his go-to guy at Miami, does it hurt at this point to call him up and give Cam some familiarity when it comes to the NFL?
No. So everything you said is exactly true. He, by NFL standards, can't run. I mean, that's just
right.
Moral of the story is NFL standards, he can't run. Now, I also think that by University of Miami wide receiver standards, he couldn't run. And I called a number of his games, prior to Cam getting there. He oftentimes, with all these highly rated running backs or receivers or like whoever they had there, he oftentimes was the best offensive player that Miami had. And there's really not a reason for it other than he just kind of was a tough, gritty football player that knew how to get open. He caught the ball when it was thrown to him, and it didn't make sense, but it worked. So I don't think – now, look, like you've got to look at the entire depth chart and things of that nature. But, like, to me, the idea of, like – and that's, I think, what I'm saying, too, about guys off the street or practice squad to be like, yeah, like you're going to play minutes. Can you play? Like, can you do this? And I don't think it would hurt, especially if there's, like, great comfort and familiarity to give him a chance. Like, does he turn out to be – I don't want to call him like, Wes Welker or anything like that, but like, does he turn out to be that like possession receiver that you see some teams have that like, it doesn't make sense, but it just does for the quarterback?
He is Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst and the head coach at Innsworth. We will have more with him coming up next. Chasing Big Joe live today at Tennessee Brew Works here on 102.5 The Game.
Hey guys, Big Joe here. We've been saying for the last 2 years, if you're struggling, please reach out and talk to somebody. Talking to somebody changed my life in the best way possible, and I want that for you. And that's why we're so honored at 102.5 The Game to be partnering with Unity Psychiatric Care, based right here in Middle Tennessee, to get you back on track and living the life you deserve. As I said, talking to someone really changed my life, and I want the same for you. Here's all you got to do. Just go to GameNashville.com and click on the Chase and Big Joe Show. There, you will see a link for Unity Psychiatric Care, and let's start taking back your life. It is private. It is secure. It's confidential. No one has to know. I just need you to reach out if you are struggling. Or you can call 1-888-508-8002. 1-888-508-8002. And you hear me, I preach all day long that our world is a better place because you are here. You have so much to be thankful for, and so do we. And for us, that is you. Look, we love you so much. Help is just around the corner. Take back your life. And please know you don't have to go through any of this alone. Again, go to GameNashville.com, click on the Chase and Big Joe Show, and you'll see the link for Unity Psychiatric Care. And let's let the journey to wellness begin.
Continuing our conversation with Tim Hasselbeck, the head coach at Innsworth and also ESPN NFL analyst, chasing Big Joe live today at Tennessee Brewworks. So you got a big one coming up this week against Baylor, right?
They're pretty good.
I've heard they're pretty good. I've heard they're pretty. I've heard there's a kid with the last name of Manning enrolled there too, but I don't think he's playing.
No, we won't see him yet. Yeah, it is a big one for us going to Chattanooga, really for the 1 seed in the East Region, Chase. I know you know that, but yeah, they're a really good football team. They've got a running back that I had some college coaches tell me. Actually, college coach that signed Jahmyr Gibbs told me he's the best high school running back I've ever seen. And I was like, hold up, you signed Jahmyr Gibbs? And he's like, yep, this is the best high school running back I've seen. I was like, got it. Okay, that sounds good.
It's like, great. that's great news to hear. How do you handle road trips like that? You know, when you got the long bus ride.
You know what? It's funny you say that. Like, one of the things when you're a high school coach, you're kind of a director of football operations as well, and so you plan, what time the kids get dismissed from school, when you eat, where you stop. And, a lot of high schools will stop at a rest stop, along, one of the highways, let the kids stretch out their legs and do that, because it is unique. Like, I grew up in Massachusetts, and pretty much all of our games were, within 45 minutes of each other. In Tennessee, because, the state is so, wide, east to west, that you have some of these long road trips. And so, it isn't realistic to have guys sit on a bus for 2-3 hours, maybe more, and then just roll off the bus and play well. So how you manage that, and, I do think is a thing. It's, you see, it's a different level than what you deal with in the National Football League, where, look, West Coast teams that are going to London, they're going to hang out in Baltimore for a week and then go over to play in London, early in the morning. And so, yeah, you have to manage that. And I think it's one of the kind of exciting things about being a coach is trying to find the best way to get your team to perform.
Well, good luck down at Baylor coming up on Friday night. Looking forward to that. Looking at around the NFL, this Joe Flacco thing in Cincinnati, I mean, obviously, if I had Jamar Chase, maybe I'd be a good quarterback too. But how can they sustain that? And is he the answer that they were looking for to get this to a point where when Joe Burrow gets back, that they might actually have a chance to make it into the playoffs?
I think that he can, because, as you said, the talent around the quarterback is so significant, and then Flacco can still really throw it. So, as long as you can do a good enough job protecting him and playing defense, you should be able to win enough games that you're not completely out of it. In the new playoff format, depending on when you get Burrow back, if you get him back and he can come back and play at a high level, then, yeah, you could end up being really dangerous. I still think defensively is their bigger issue. They just looked awful when, Browning was playing quarterback, and they're bad on defense and bad on offense. At least with Flacco, I think that he's played enough football and has seen enough and has guys that are going to win enough that I do think you can be really competitive offensively. And now you know why, Mike Tomlin thought it was such an absurd trade.
We just saw the Patriots here. They've won 4 in a row. I know you're very complimentary of Drake May, but it seems like that Mike Vrabel has really put together a pretty good football team, and they're playing together on all 3 phases. They got to get through Buffalo when it comes to the playoffs, but do you think that this is a playoff team?
I do. And I think, sometimes when we have like the hot team in the off season, it's like, they're probably more than a year away. But there was just something about New England. Like, their talent was so bad, and I think they improved it with – they got good tight ends now. The back is, a decent player there. I think they were going to be coached better defensively. I do, like I just said, I think the quarterback is a rising star. And look, I don't know what the overall feeling on Mike Vrabel is, but I think he is as good of a coach in game in terms of situations as there is in the National Football League. Like, I think he's that good of an in-game coach. And then I also think that he creates an environment and culture where guys want to play for him. So I'm not surprised. I'm really not. Now, do I think they're as good as Buffalo right now? Probably not. I don't. But do I think that they can give Buffalo a hard time? I do. I really do. So because I think that Drake May, I think we're seeing him scratch the surface. I think we're going to talk about Drake May the way we're talking about these quarterbacks that are in the MVP discussion.
Does Josh McDaniels get enough credit for that? I mean, we know what he was as a head coach, but as a coordinator, especially with the Patriots, it seems like he should maybe be getting a little more credit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this happens where, the hot coordinator fails as a head coach, and, now you don't have as many media members, kind of stumping for the guy to get a head coaching opportunity. And so I think that cycle has run through for Josh McDaniels. And Steve Spagnuolo, you could say the same thing in Kansas City. He's been an amazing defensive coordinator, but he's already been a head coach. And so I think some people have we've already been down that path. Look, he might just be a really good coordinator. And so do I think that he's doing a good job? I do. So I think he's a massive upgrade over, what they were doing there a year ago. I do. And so, he's done a good job. He puts a lot on the quarterback, and Drake May can handle it.
Tim Hasselbeck is with us. I think we all kind of know where this is going in Miami, that probably sooner rather than later, Mike McDaniel won't be the coach anymore. Is Tua a deterrent for that job because of the contract and the production, or do you still think that there could be something there and maybe just McDaniel, the magic is worn off?
No, I mean, the magic is worn off. I'm surprised the firing hasn't happened already. Tua is not going to be that's not going to be a net positive in terms of who's going there. But everyone's got to remember, there's only 32 of these jobs. They don't always become available. And so people used to talk about is Jacksonville good? Or do you really want to go there? Hey, is Cleveland really the best job? And, that was back, when the Deshaun Watson situation was different. Well, they don't become available often. And so when they do, they're all attractive. And, I mean, even when you look at what happened between Detroit and the Rams, look, whatever anybody wants to say, Jared Goff was traded to lose his contract.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you're going to find a trade partner for Tua, but there's ways to get out of it. There's ways to find and develop other quarterbacks that can play well. And then there's ways to ride it out as you build your roster before you can find your next quarterback.
We're here with Tim Hasselbeck on the Chase McJoe Show. Tim, last night, Tampa Bay obviously looked a little bit lackluster in their game, but Mike Evans going down with, I believe, a broken collarbone, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. What does that do for the direction of this team going forward? Because it looks like they were the favorites to win their division.
Listen, I think it's a huge deal because Evans is that good. He catches touchdowns. So, it's one thing to move the ball between the 20s. It's another thing to have guys that can find their way into the end zone. That's what Mike Evans does. And it was a great rapport with Baker. I think it's a significant injury. I will say this, though. I think that you could say about Baker, when you think about, really, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, either 2 or 3 weeks ago, he throws a touchdown to Cam Johnson and Tez Johnson. Both of them, it was their first touchdown reception of their career. I think Baker is playing at such a high level that he's making the guys around him better. And then obviously they're fortunate with, drafting, the young receiver, Ibuka, who's played extremely well. So, look, is it brutal? Yes. Does it completely derail their season the way that, it appears the Burrow injury, did for Cincinnati? I don't think it completely does that.
And then adding on to that real quick, it just seems to be, you mentioned he's playing at a high level. Patrick Mahomes obviously has Rashee Rice back now, and they're with a positive winning to 4-3, or their record's 4-3 now. It just seems like Baker's going to get snubbed for an MVP vote, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that I think Mahomes, because of the supporting cast now, will find his way into the MVP discussion with what's happened to Lamar. I think, the guys that are the usual suspects won't be in it. Now, I think because of the scenario in Tampa, Baker's case will be strong if he has them playing extremely well. But look, Kansas City to me looks like the offense of old. Like they had so much speed when they had McCole Hardman and Tyreek Hill, younger Travis Kelce. Like there was just so much speed on the field. And I think what's interesting now is like they have that now. Xavier Worthy can fly. Hollywood Brown can fly. Rashee Rice can fly. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, they got the speed back in their offense with, one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in football.
Tim, last one. What are the Dallas Cowboys right now? Because they confuse me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think they've got one of the best offenses in football. I think defensively they're a disaster. Now, they were much more aggressive in the game this past weekend, brought more pressure than they had been. But I would say this, like they are a team that has exceeded my expectations for them so far. And I think what's interesting is, like, let's just say Philadelphia wins that division. I think many people, especially if you go back to Super Bowl odds before the season, thought Washington was that next team. Well, Washington is struggling, can't stop anybody right now, and now their quarterback, is injured. Well, like, is the second best team in the NFC East right now? Like, is it the Dallas Cowboys? Like, it might be with a quarterback playing at a high level, and they could end up being a playoff team when I would have said, like, look, they're the third or fourth best team in the division and not really a playoff contender.
I have been impressed with Brian Schottenheimer. I think he's done a good job.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Tim, appreciate it as always, my friend. Good luck Friday night against Baylor, and we look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right. Appreciate it. See you.
Absolutely. Tim Hasselbeck joining us here on the program, head coach at Innsworth and also ESPN NFL analyst, joins us every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We'll react to some of the things he had to say and talk NFL a little broader with the NFL. Coming up next is Chase and Big Joe. We're live today at Tennessee Brew Works here on 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, presented by the Omni Nashville Hotel. We're live today at Tennessee Brew Works. Big Joe traveling with MTSU. He'll join us from Delaware tomorrow ahead of their game. Nick Frazier hanging out at the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. I have to say, and Nick, I'm curious if you agree with me, if the people out there agree with me. 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com. I actually think the NFL has been a lot more entertaining this year than it was last year. And even with injuries, even with the quarterback injuries, I feel like the games have been compelling. Like the Thursday night game that we had last week between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati was a fun one. It was a shootout, came down to the end. I mean, you had the game on Sunday between the Giants and the Broncos that was just a thrilling ending. I just feel like overall it has been a much better product than what we saw a year ago.
Yeah, I'd agree to that. The AFC West has been a compelling, product to watch. Obviously, you mentioned the Denver and New York game this past Sunday. That had a little college football vibe to me a little bit because you don't see that many possessions back and forth in that high-scoring game. So overall, the product has been interesting. I think it's probably the most wide-open Super Bowl race there has been in the last 5 years, would you say?
Yeah, probably so. I would think. That seems about right. And then you got, I think the storyline within storylines is how the Chiefs have come roaring back. Which if you didn't really think that was going to happen, then you haven't been paying attention. But like you look at them now, they went from starting the season, everybody's like, "Oh, it's over, they're done," to they're one game out of leading the division. At 4-3.
It's almost like they were just putting a Band-Aid on their offense the first 3 to 4 weeks just to wait on Rashee Rice to come back, because that offense looked, I don't want to say incompetent, but they looked like they were just missing something. And obviously with Rashee Rice coming back this past week against the Raiders, winning 31-0, I mean, that offense was clicking on all cylinders. I don't think they threw the ball at all in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, the offense was looking terrible. And, it wasn't Mahomes. It just he didn't have any help. Kelsey's playing better, which I think helps. So I that's interesting to see. Now, do they win it all? I don't know. But I mean, like, let's just do this. Let's play an exercise where you say you're a believer or not a believer. And I'll say it too. Patriots, I'm a believer. I think they're legit.
Yes.
Bills, believer.
Yes.
Steelers.
100% yes.
I think I am, but that division is still interesting. Because does Baltimore turn it around, or are they at the point where this is probably just a lost season for them? The Bengals, I believe as long as Flacco can hold it together for Burrow to get back.
I'm not there. This is going to be a little bit of a hot view of this, but I think Joe Flacco right now, if he's, playing really good when Joe Burrow comes back, leave Flacco in, because we've seen.
What?
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, right? No, seriously, like looking at the way Joe Burrow's played the first couple weeks, he was always getting sacked, for the point where, like, if there was something there, it almost like he'd play down to his opponents and never really saw anything on the other side of the ball. Whereas for Joe Flacco, who's seen the experience of the NFL, I think he's a lot better quarterback right now than Joe Burrow, even when he comes back from injury.
Going to disagree with you on that, but we'll see. Colts,
big believer.
I'm a believer. Jacksonville.
Oh boy, I think they're a wild card team, so I guess that makes them a believer.
They've lost 2 in a row though, that concern me a little bit. So I'm still not sure. Denver has won 4 in a row.
I'm not a believer. I think I don't want to say they're getting lucky, but because that game against the Giants, I think the Giants threw that one away directly to the Broncos. I'm not in on the Broncos just yet.
The only reason I'm a believer is because of the head coach.
That's fair.
And look, I think that Bo Nix has definitely exceeded expectations. Eagles, I'm going to say yes.
I'm not quite on there with the Eagles yet. I know they just came off a big Super Bowl, but for me, I'm not there.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I don't know if they repeat, but I still think they're pretty good. Dallas, I have no clue. I don't know what this team is yet. They are Jekyll and Hyde.
Watching, George Pickens flourish into being a really good wide receiver, we all knew he had the talents, but with CeeDee Lamb out, it's almost like this game this past Sunday, CeeDee Lamb turned into wide receiver 2, became second fiddle to George Pickens, who Dak Prescott and him have a really good chemistry right now, and you can't really break that up.
Green Bay, yes.
Yeah, I'm in on Green Bay.
Detroit, yes.
Yes.
Chicago at 4-2, won 4 in a row. I think sneaky. They've been kind of sneaky, but I got to see them maintain it.
Yeah, I think when we get into these colder months of the season, that's where we're really going to see a make or break from the Bears, because they play in that cold weather, windy city, Chicago. There's something to that.
Minnesota at 3-3. I think they're right where I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I'm not on them. I'm not a big believer in them.
Tampa Bay, yes.
Yes.
Carolina at 4-3. They have won 3 in a row.
It doesn't make sense. I mean, Rico Dowdle has been
no sense.
He's been a really good running back. He's been their bell cow, honestly, and they've used Chuba Hubbard as more of that passing back in this past Sunday. So I don't know if he's just getting himself back from injury and they're just kind of figuring things out. But whatever they got going on, kudos to them, because they're clicking.
I think they hit a wall at some point.
Yeah.
So I'm not buying it. In the West, San Francisco, yes. Seattle. Well, you say San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm in on San Francisco, and you mentioned Seattle. I'm in on Seattle as well. Just that whole division, it's just a lot of contenders.
Yeah, and on the Rams too. I mean, you got 49ers, Seattle, and Rams are all 5-2, and then Arizona.
I think if I had to say a no to any of those teams in that division, it'd be San Francisco, primarily because you're missing the linebacker now for, I guess, the rest of the season.
Purdy's been out.
Yeah, Purdy's been out. I mean, they've looked well. I mean, they've looked really good under Mac Jones, but I don't know if Christian McCaffrey can lead this team to the playoffs like that, because their wide receiver core is kind of like the Titans, except a little bit more competent. I mean, no Brandon Ayuk, so on PUP. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that proves my point, though, of how just compelling the NFL has been this year, because things are so close.
Absolutely.
And that's what's made it fun. Coming up next, we'll reset our question of the day. Through 7 games, do you believe Cam Ward is a bust? 615-737-1025. You can call, you can text. We will take those. Coming up next, we're live today, Tennessee Brew Works, chasing Big Joe, 1025 The Game.
I put stuff behind me fast. I think as a quarterback, you have to be able to, be able to play next play. You got to be able to flush stuff. And it's really me watching all my bad plays. How can I prevent it? What situation are we in? What down are we in? And even on some good plays, there's some stuff that I can continue to do better today. But I just got to be able to, build off the bad plays and make them into more good plays.
And more after the 31-13 loss to New England. And we're asking the question here on Chasing Big Joe live at Tennessee Brew Works today. Is he a bust through 7 games? I say no. And I think it's crazy to think that he is at this point. But I want to hear from you. 615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I put the poll question up earlier. 61% saying no right now, that he is not. 3337. Yes, he is a bust, and so is Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold. So does that mean you can overcome bustness?
I guess so. I mean, the fact that you're going to call, Sam Darnold was a bust. I think you can rewrite that narrative. Baker Mayfield was a bust. He rewrote that narrative. So, I mean, all those guys were a bust, but they rewrote the narrative. So you can't really call them a bust anymore.
Yeah, right. I mean, look, I guess you could be going down that path and then, get in the right situation, which I think is what Cam needs to be in. But you have to hope that the right situation can be made for him here, because this organization and this team needs to win. And that Cam Ward is going to help you win if you can put him in the right situation, build the right roster around him, find him the right head coach, find him the right quarterback coach. And look, I'm going to say this. If the new guy comes in and they sit Cam Ward down and he's like, hey, I really like Bo Hardigree. Bo has been really good for me, even though I'm not so sure I agree with that. But Bo's been really good. I love working with Bo. Then the next head coach needs to go, all right, well, I don't know Bo very well, but we're going to give it a shot. Like, do everything you can to put Cam Ward in a position to succeed. That is what the good organizations do. Stop letting the owner tell you, well, I don't like this guy, or I don't like that guy, or you can't trade Jeffrey Simmons, or you can't trade Derrick Henry. You got to let the people that do the football things do the football things. Look, and build around Cam Ward.
If I'm the Titans and if I'm Cam Ward specifically, earlier on Next Man Up, Jake and Parker and I were all kind of conversating about Cam Ward needing to do something in the offseason, if it's with Jordan Palmer or if it's with his quarterback's coach, which is Eric I'm forgetting his last name. I think Eric Moss is what his name is, over at North Texas. He's apparently this quarterback guru in some aspects, but he was Cam Ward's quarterback coach, still is. So if that's the case, to me, I think everybody's job is on the table with the Titans. And if he likes Bo Hardigree, like you're talking about now, make him the offensive coordinator and then demote Nick Holtz or get him off the staff and then put this Eric Moss guy that is the quarterback's coach for Cam Ward, put him on staff. Maybe that's the big turnaround that Cam Ward needs.
Well, and I'm going back to, the thing you need to do, whether it makes sense on paper or not, you need to put him in a position to build his confidence. That's why I asked him that question about Restrepo. And I mean, he was on board of playing Restrepo. Like, yes, by definition, he's not an NFL receiver, but you don't need that right now. You're not going to win anything right now. What you need to worry about right now is getting Cam's confidence up and making him better and improving him. And then you get the new coaching staff in here and you build a competent roster around him. Then you can worry about, having a true NFL receiver. And if Restrepo grows into that, great. If he doesn't, then you go find a guy that he can build that trust with, like he has with Restrepo. But like, I'm with you right now. It doesn't hurt anything if you put him on the roster. And I still don't think they're going to do it, but we'll see. Matt says Ward is not a bust, and I say that when every time he winds up and throws the ball, I expect the worst. He has had absolutely no development. The TV commentators were talking about his footwork in the last game. NFL quarterbacks get ruined because of no consistency. NFL equals not for long. If you want a quality quarterback, give him development and training. He obviously has the talent for it.
That's spot on. I mean, he has the intangibles. He just has to capitalize on it, and it just leads with the right direction. He hasn't had that direction. And On top of all that, with the Titans, you look at Cam Ward, and I mentioned this earlier about how he needs to focus more on his pocket presence than his footwork. Because you look at Drake May this past Sunday, sure, he had some off the beaten path throws where his feet were not fully set. He was throwing some odd balls left and right, but they were connecting because first, his pocket presence, he was fully aware of what his surroundings are. And I think you mentioned confidence with Cam Ward. I think his confidence has been dwindled down a little bit behind this offensive line. And I mentioned the Denver game earlier. I think the Denver game for Cam Ward, that guy exuded confidence, looked like a true captain of this team. And ever since that game took place, it's almost like each week he's taken a step back, and has built these bad habits. And it's unfortunate because if we can see week one Cam Ward the rest of the way out, I think Titans fans should have a lot more optimism around Cam Ward rather than saying, oh, put Will Levis back out there, or he's worse than Malik Willis or whatever it is. No, those narratives are false. You got to just look at the positive aspect of it.
There's part of me that kind of wanted to see what this was going to look like if Levis was still on the roster, but at the same time, it would be like just a you-know-what right now. 9013 says, won't win much with him and will lose a lot with him. He made it to the NFL, but he won't be successful at the NFL level. All right, so he's out. 3337 says, I was being a smartass. I think these guys deserve at least 2 years, not 2 months. I agree with you. That is for sure. Brian says, I'm not saying Cam is 100% a bust, but I also think it's crazy to say he's not going to be. His mechanics are awful right now, and nobody knows if it will change. If he keeps going like he is now, then yes, he will be a bust. 8979, give him, or Craig says, give him the same amount of time given to Levis, then call him a bust. That will be just enough time to blow another draft. That's correct. There's just no faith in the organization right now.
No. And I was talking to somebody after the game Sunday, and it was a prominent.
I'm glad you talk to people. That's good.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting out there nowadays, you know. Now I was talking to a prominent former Titans player. I'll leave his name, nameless. But he was talking to a buddy of mine as we were walking across the pedestrian bridge, and he said, at the national media and even myself, who on God's green earth knows who's running the team? Is it Chad Brinker? Is it Borgonzi? Is it Amy? Is it Kenneth? Whoever it is, they got to figure it out. Because if they bring in this next head coach and this structure is still the same, they're just going to go through the same cycle. And it's going to be a firing of the general manager, then hiring of a coach, hiring of a general manager. It's an endless cycle. And he was telling me, like, look, this has to be fixed sooner rather than later.
Yep, but the question is, can they fix it sooner rather than later? I don't know. Again, there's not a lot of faith with this organization that they're able to do that. And time is going to tell. But to have the narrative 7 games in that he's a bust based on what has happened with the coaches being fired, 2 different play callers, a terrible roster around him, I can't get on board with that. And I feel like there's a lot of people that are like-minded, but there's some that aren't. There's some that think, yep, nope, I know enough, I've seen enough, and the kid ain't it. But we will see. Coming up next, we're going to change gears or cleats to skates or something.
Shift
like that.
lines?
Shift lines. There you go. That's a good one. Max Herz is going to join us live from Tennessee Brewworks. The Predators back in action tonight. They'll start a 5-game homestand against the Anaheim Ducks. Coming up, he'll have pregame for you at 6 o'clock, but he's going to chill with me. We'll talk about where the Preds are at this point in the season and some interesting comments from Steven Stamkos from earlier today. We'll do that coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Hour number 3, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game on this Tuesday. We're live at Tennessee Brew Works today. Big Joe is out as he is traveling with the Blue Raiders to take on Delaware, the Blue Hens. Right?
Hashtag. You should introduce me before I start talking.
Well, this
Sorry.
is Max
Like,
Hurst.
who is this guy?
Max Hurst joins us now.
Can I say something about Delaware football?
Yes.
First, when I was announcing high school football here, there was a quarterback by the name of Braden Streeter who was committed to Delaware. I actually don't know if he's still there. I assume he is. But their recruiting hashtag for the Delaware Blue Hens was hashtag Henergy, which I love.
I actually like that a lot.
Yeah.
So Nick has dubbed this the Blue Bowl between the Blue Raiders and the Blue Hens tomorrow. And if you say that too fast, you could get a different result.
Don't tell Hal Gill that.
Yeah, exactly. But Mac's going to join us for the final hour because the Predators open up a 5-game homestand tonight against the Anaheim Ducks. Let's. I know people don't like when I say this or anyone said this. Let's put record aside for a second. 2-2-2. Jordan Tutu would be very proud right now. 2-2-2. Looking at them through the first 6 games, what have you seen?
They've been fine. They've played well enough to win almost every game. I think their 2 best games actually may both be losses. I think their home game against the Mammoth in the second game of the season that they lost in overtime, I think that was their best game of the season.
Yeah.
And I think the Canadians game, if they were able to pot one more, that would have been their best performance of the season. And obviously that should have been a win. A star player went into superstar mode twice on you. You lost the game. So their record should definitely be better than 2-2-2. I think they are much better than they were at the start of last season. Obviously, 2-1-2 is better than 0-5, 0-5-0, which is what they were through 5 games last year. So I think they're in a much better place than they were last year. I think they're still leaving points on the table, though. I don't think they're generating anywhere near enough offense. And I think the defense has been good enough to win almost every night, except for when they were in Toronto last Tuesday. Justus Annunen gave up 5 goals. That game probably should have been closer than it was.
Yeah, and then I was curious after that game against Montreal, which was a heartbreaker, but those are going to happen. That's a part of it. What was going to be the response the next time out against Winnipeg? Didn't love the response.
Well, Andrew Brunette said this, and I agree, not that I need to reinforce what the coach who played in the NHL says, but the first period was their worst period of the season, the first period in Winnipeg. They took a penalty a minute in. They gave up a power play goal right off the hop. They gave up a breakaway goal. They were down 2-0, and it didn't really feel like they had the puck at all.
Steven Stamkos, I know he's said this, but, defensively they have improved. I don't think anybody would argue with that, and they needed to. They had to play better in front of UC Saros. But you got to have some of these guys start scoring goals. And you don't have anybody that's, going to be a 60-goal scorer and, average 2 a night or something like that. But what in your mind needs to change for them, especially with the power play opportunities, to put some of these in the back of the net?
Yeah, I mean, they got to get the puck in the zone. The breakouts have been the biggest problem on the power play. And I think they got to feed Stamkos the one-timers to the point where the other team is going to have to block 20 of them if they want to kill every penalty. If Stamkos is covered, they haven't been forcing it. I think it's time to start forcing it. I think you got to get your money's worth with Stamkos with the power play goals, and they haven't given him enough chances. The one goal he has was a power play goal where he was actually passing in front, and it hit off a defenseman and went in. So, yeah, you gotta let the man score the goal that's going to get him into the Hall of Fame. So that would be my first step. They tried Nick Blankenburg on the power play last game instead of Jonathan Marchessault, who's hurt. I actually loved that move, putting Yossi on the flank on his one-timer side and having Blankenburg run it. But now tonight, Blankenburg's back out of the lineup because he's the 7th defenseman. So that was a one-game try. It's tough to just throw him in there and expect it to work. And, I mean, it was okay. I would like to see that get a longer look, but he's not one of their 6 best defensemen at even strength right now, so they can't. But tonight, Evangelista is going to be on that top power play. He's going to be in the middle. He's going to be making quick passing plays out of the bumper. I think he's a better fit for that spot than Marchessault significantly, and I hope that sticks.
Yeah, well, that'll be interesting to see. Max Herz is with us for the final hour. We're also going to have your chance to win some Preds tickets, so be listening. We're going to be giving to tonight's game. So if you want to go to tonight's game, we're going to be giving you an opportunity to do that coming up here in just a little bit. Brady Martin back in the lineup. He didn't play.
Yeah.
Didn't play on the road trip. People were kind of freaking out about that. I wanted to see him in one game, but I understood. I understood what the thought process was of he's traveling, he's practicing, he's with the team, but let him sit and observe and not force him, because you don't have final change. There's all these different reasons, but now he's back in tonight.
Yeah, well, the reason they didn't play him, at least what's been verbalized by Andrew Brunette, is it's not a hard and fast he cannot play in a road game.
Yeah.
If they were playing the Ducks on the road tonight, he would
probably
play.
Yeah.
It was a road trip against 4 good teams, each of which had tough atmospheres for various reasons. Monday in Ottawa, that's their home opener.
Yeah.
This was my 3rd trip to Ottawa. First of all, they play in the Ottawa equivalent of Murfreesboro.
Right.
They're hoping to build an arena in the actual lovely city of Ottawa, but I had never seen that arena full. And it was their home opener. They made the playoffs last year for the first time since they almost came here for the Cup final.
Yeah.
They hadn't been in the playoffs in 8 years. Home opener, Canadian Thanksgiving afternoon. It was rocking up there. The next night, Toronto.
Yeah.
Toronto speaks for itself. The eyes of the hockey world are there. The Maple Leafs are really freaking good. Thursday, Montreal. 22,000 French fans oohing and eyeing at every single puck touch. Another good team. And then Saturday night in Winnipeg, that's probably, you could make the argument that it was the loudest crowd of the week. I mean, it's Montreal. Montreal has 7,000 more people than Winnipeg does, so that probably gives them the title. But Saturday night in Winnipeg, they won the President's Trophy last year. Like, these are not the road atmospheres that they want to play him in, Andrew Brunette says, and they're measuring his progression step by step. It's been pretty much planned out with a little bit of cushion for them to change things, but they want to make sure that he doesn't have a rough moment in an atmosphere like that is necessitated by an atmosphere like that when Austin Matthews, Cole Caulfield, Brady Tkachuk, Kyle Connor are on the ice. So that's why Martin didn't play. But he's going to play tonight, and he's going to have new line mates. So Ryan O'Reilly had been his co-center in the first 2 games. Tonight, Fedor Svechkov is going to be his co-center. Tyson Jost is going to be with him. I think that's more of a grind line.
Yeah.
And I think that's a chance for Fedor Svechkov to be the skill guy on the line, which is what he needs because he has as many points as we both do through the first 6 games.
Yeah, he struggled out of the gate. And so I think putting him – how many games have you done in Winnipeg, by the way?
I think 4 or 5.
Now, you have been to more rinks than I have, but I can tell you, people ask me, what's the coolest atmosphere you've been to? Winnipeg in the playoffs was awesome. They did the whiteout. It was loud. It's a smaller rink, so the sound just stays in there. So that doesn't surprise me what you said there.
Yeah, it was a great crowd Saturday. There have been times I've been there when the crowd wasn't loud.
Yeah.
Saturday it was quite loud, and I mean they scored in the 2nd minute of the game. So that's how that works.
And you also saw the CFL.
I did. It's not a very entertaining on-field product, but shout out to former Vanderbilt punter Jesse Murko, who is now on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I went to the game with his parents and his dad. They're Australian, and his dad. There are a lot of 2-and-outs, so you punt on 3rd down.
Yeah.
And I'm there because I know the punter.
Right.
And
yeah. So you saw the
his
punter.
dad goes, "Well, it's a good game to watch if you're the punter's family." Like, you nailed it, Mr. Murko. You absolutely nailed it.
That's pretty cool. So you got to see a CFL. I would go. I would go just to say I went.
Well, they're changing the rules. They're conforming to the NFL rules next season. So they're going to 4 downs. They're making the field the same size. No more 55-yard line. No more 20-yard end zones. The goalposts are on the front of the end zone. They're moving them to the back. So, I mean, I have no reason to ever go again. It's just going to be worse American football.
Well, and I think the reason they're doing that is because they want to be a feeder league for the NFL or in their mind. Whether
the quality of play was bad and there were 30,000 people there and it was filled. So I don't think people seem to mind the quality of play. But talking to the Preds Canadian players about it before I went, they basically all said, "Don't go. It's not entertaining," which I found very funny.
So the Predators in action tonight as they will take on the Anaheim Ducks. I have to ask you about your favorite line. Now, I have bought into this, calling them the loud line. I am supporting you on this. But Eric Halla, his return, I mean, he has really made a difference in my mind. He's got 4 points in 6 games since coming back with the Predators. And I know Marchessault has been out, was out the last game. But I really like that group with him and Michael Bunting.
Yeah, I think through the first 4 games, Holla was the Preds' best forward.
Yeah.
He had a point in each of the first 4 games. Then in the Canadiens game on Thursday, we didn't really see as much of those guys. It was kind of their first no-show game, or I'd say their worst game so far this season. They had a little bit of an impact. And now with Marchessault out again tonight, Steven Stamkos is going to play in Marchessault's spot with Holla and Bunting and see if those guys can be the ones who drag Stamkos into the fight.
Is that essentially the second line?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the only reason I ever would term them the third line at the beginning of the season is just because if Stamkos is on Svechkov's line, to me the line with Stamkos is the second line.
Yeah. Right.
But the way they redistributed the last few games, yeah, I mean they're playing second line minutes, they're playing a ton, they're playing all situations, and the Preds would be much worse off without them so far this year. And that was a good coaching move to bring those guys together from the start of preseason.
615-737-1025 is our phone and text line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Max Herz is with us for the final hour. If you got any Preds questions for Max or CFL, he'll be happy to answer those.
No CFL.
We'll also be giving away tickets to tonight's game coming up in just a little bit. We're live at Tennessee Brew Works today. Chasing Big Joe with Max on 102.5 The Game.
Matheson enters on the right for the Canadians. Fast-moving third. Matheson in front. Pad save Saros. Power move by Mike Matheson. Saros gets a save with the right pad. Herbig's the other way. Hey, scores! Nick Herbig's puts the Preds ahead with 8:39 left in the third.
The great Max Herz on the call. And the great Max Herz is here with us at Tennessee Brew Works. Welcome back in, Chase and Big Joe. 102.5 The Game. We're going to have several pairs of tickets to give away.
For what?
For tonight's game.
Oh.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
game?
We're against the Anaheim Ducks. The
I'm trying to be
Predators.
Big Joe right now. Is
You
it
are.
working?
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. The Preds and Ducks coming up. You'll have pregame at 6 o'clock. Nick Herbig's has been, I think, what everybody hoped he was going to be when they signed him. Yes, he scored a little bit, but he's been that defensive help that the Predators desperately needed.
I don't understand how he didn't have a larger contract offer. Becoming a free agent as a right-handed defenseman in a year when the cap went up, and he told us on Smashville Live a couple weeks ago he had double-digit teams interested in him. Preds got him for 2 years, $2.25 million a year. That's a steal for a guy who's played shutdown minutes to start the year and also has scored twice. He's not here to score, but he scored twice.
Sure, he can add that. Do you look at him as? I mean, sure, they could extend him, if they wanted to, but there's so many. There's some intriguing young defensemen in the pipeline. Mullendijk, I think we're going to see sooner rather than later. But doing a contract like that, do you think that allows them to give those kids time to grow, but also see if, hey, you know what, maybe we like him, he fits, he's going to fit with this new group that comes up?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably more competing with the right D prospects, which is Andrew Gibson, who I would not expect to play in the NHL this season. He has a shot too.
Yeah.
But no, I think Herbig's at 2 years, at 27 years old, and at that salary, I don't think there is a more perfect contract for the Preds right now in free agency than that.
UC Saros, we have, I think for the most part, been glowing about him, through the first handful of games. I know he's going to have – nobody's going to be perfect. They're going to have those moments. But I have just seen a difference with him. I think the play in front of him has helped some of that. But I feel like he's seen the puck much like the UC Saros we saw a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple things in response to that. I think the two things you said are the same thing. I think he is seeing the puck because of the play in front of him.
Yeah.
They made changes to the defensive zone structure to clear shot lanes and to box out in front and sweep the porch was the way it was verbalized. And I love that. And it perfectly explains it. Like, you had too much crap going on in front of him last year. And when I asked Saros about it, he said the biggest thing is that what his guys are going to do in the D zone is significantly more predictable than it was last season. And that's why guys were popping wide open. And the thing that really created, that Saros pointed out, is a ton of seam passes right across the top of the crease, out of Saros's reach to knock the pass down, but they set up backdoor slam dunks. How many goals do you remember the Preds giving up like that last year? It felt like every game the last 2 months of the season, somebody was wide open down low. And that hasn't happened this year. And when it's happened, Saros has had the shot measured because it's within the coverage that guy could be there in that moment, and the defenseman knows to leave him. And Hal has done a really good job on our air, as you've heard, Chase, of pointing those moments out, of saying, hey, this is why the defenseman left that guy there. This is why the defenseman didn't leave that guy there. This is why this guy has time in the corner. This is why this guy can park there and it's okay. It's all structure. And so much of that relates to goaltending. And I think that's why Saros, in my opinion, was not at fault for really any of last season's. But I think the biggest thing was by even the halfway point of last year, there was very little will left in the team. There was nothing to play for. So you wouldn't expect him to play well, and Annunen played a lot. Saros didn't have his usual rhythm. He wants to play every game. I think there's a chance he plays almost every game through Sweden, which is about a month away from right now. So, yeah, I think he's doing everything you could hope and more. And to be honest with you, I don't think he's given up a single bad goal.
Yeah, I'd agree. And it was Barry Trotz last week when he was on with DVD. I think he said Ken Dryden couldn't have even played goal for us last year. What was his exact word? So
the late Ken Dryden, who just passed
Yeah,
about a month ago.
Yeah, so he he brought that up, but I look, I think there was, because you know how this works. You sign a guy to a long contract, everybody is going to put it under a microscope and just pick it to death. And I understood both sides of the argument when they were going through the process of, do you sign him to a long-term deal or do you trade him and go with the young kid? I think keeping Saros was the right move, and the way of doing business now is, you're going to sign a guy and probably the last couple of years of the contract aren't going to look great, but that's a part of it. And now I think you're seeing, as the contract is now kicked in, hey, this is the guy they need. Now they got to build around him. It's finding the guys that can put the puck in the back of the net, whether the guys are here will continue to develop or guys in your pipeline. It's still part of the process, and he's still young enough that he can see the fruits of those labors.
Yeah, and I think Saros can play into his late 30s just like Rene did.
Yeah.
There's no reason why he can't. So I don't think the length of the contract is too much of a concern. The cap then, assuming the NHL continues to succeed, will be quite high. And he's already barely even a top 10 salary goalie in the NHL just a year after the contract got signed.
Yeah.
So
and there's some guys that have signed extensions that you're going,
right.
What? They signed for that?
For more than him.
Right.
But like, if Saros wasn't signed to an extension, who's the Preds starting goalie for tonight's game? It's probably Yaroslav Askarov, right?
Right.
It wasn't time for that yet.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was like, he needs more time. And, I trust Barry Trotz in knowing that Barry Trotz has a belief of sometimes you need to sit a guy and overcook a guy for a little bit. And if he was kind of having the mindset of like, yeah, you're not ready, and then you've seen what it's looked like, in San Jose, I think he knew there.
Right. Also it's the same as what Saros dealt with last year. The Sharks are terrible.
Right.
I think even if the Sharks had a great veteran goalie, that they'd be struggling.
Yeah.
We've seen it with the goalies who have come through there. Georgiev is now in the KHL because he went to San Jose.
Yeah.
Like, that's how it happened. Blackwood was awful there, and he becomes a true number one with the Avs. So a lot of it is really about the team in front of you.
Yeah. And I think we agree. The team in front of the Predators in front of UC Saros is gotten better. Now, I think it needs to continue to grow and get better, but it's certainly through the first 6 games, you've definitely seen some improvement. Speaking of the KHL, I laughed because our friend Mr. Scale sent me a clip last night of former Predator Alex Radulov sitting on the bench, mentoring his son, talking to his son on the bench. And I was like, I immediately felt very old, but that Rads at this point is still playing, and he's now playing.
I think Igor Surin.
I thought it was
prospect Igor Surin.
Oh, that's who it was?
His hockey son.
Perhaps. Oh, his hockey son. Okay.
What a turn this has taken.
Okay, I thought that was his son.
No, it's Igor Surin. Preds first round pick. Yeah. It's so funny that the Preds, possibly highest ceiling forward prospect.
Yeah.
Brady Martin probably is I don't know. I'm not a prospect guy.
Yeah.
But I think Surin has a really high ceiling.
Okay.
And he's 2 years older than Martin. So
he's further.
He's further along. And he'll be in Russia for at least 2 more years.
Okay.
But what a plot twist this is.
That he's
playing with Alex Radulov. They won the Gagarin Cup last year, KHL title. And
how old is Radulov?
I think he's 38 or 39.
Wait, so we're the same age? 39. Okay, so he's almost a year exactly older than me.
So, what a plot twist this is, that really important Preds player and a guy who has the potential to maybe be one of the best centers in franchise history down the road, and Igor Surin is getting mentored by Radulov, who tells him, Surin says in his somewhat imperfect English when he comes here once a year for prospect camp, he says Radulov tells him that Nashville is amazing, and Radulov is the guy who's teaching him how to be a pro, and they're absolutely pounding beers together when they won the Gagarin Cup this spring. It's like, what is happening here?
Oh, that's fantastic.
But yeah,
I just hope
Rads has become a good soldier for the Preds.
Well, I hope he doesn't teach him to leave in the middle of his prime. So let's hope that doesn't happen. But
we'll worry about that later. But my favorite Igor Surin quote is the moment he was drafted. He was asked, how do you describe your game? And he said, I have 2 more years left on my contract in Russia. He did not understand the question. His English is better now.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a really important player. But he is not Alexander Radulov's biological son.
Okay.
Please stop spreading
I'm
misinformation.
sorry.
on the radio.
I miss.
Joe's not here. There's no misinformation today.
I blame Mr. Scale for that. But
Don't trust the scale.
I trust him, but I messed that one up. We'll have more with Max Herz coming. I just want to move on.
Anybody else related in the hockey world that we
I don't know.
about?
I
Chase?
don't.
Are you related to Jake McCabe from the Maple Leafs?
Yeah, we're cousins apparently.
Yeah, he got all the athletic ability.
Yeah, he did. I did not. We'll have your chance to win tickets to tonight's game coming up here in just a few minutes. Max is hanging out with us here on the program. Chasing Big Joe live today at Tennessee Brew Works 102.5 The Game. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game on this Tuesday. We're at Tennessee Brew Works. We're like not far from the arena. I don't know how to describe this area, but we're downtown, and it's a great spot if you haven't been here before. They got a great spot outside. You can bring your dog, sit inside, sit in the actual brewery.
You got me excited that there's a dog here.
Is there a dog here?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't think
you
so.
can bring a dog.
I am going to say this on the radio for everyone in the world to hear. The Nashville Predators yesterday took the pictures for the 2026 Predators Foundation calendar.
I saw that.
And in years past, it has been adoptable dogs. This year, it was both adoptable dogs from Wags and Walks, and also many of the players brought their own dogs.
Oh, cool. I think they've done that before.
Yeah. So it's very exciting. It will be for sale sometime around Thanksgiving for you to have for Christmas for 2026. Last year, it was zoo animals. So all September, I was staring at UC Saros petting a rhinoceros. And now Philip Forsberg was some sort of cheetah leopard type deal. But
Nice.
Next year, it will be Predators players, many of them with their own dogs. Lots of golden retrievers.
Okay.
And Fedor Svechkov has a dog that I think weighs half a pound.
They did that one year when Shea Weber was still here, and he had his big, two.
Of course he did.
I forgot what his dogs were, but they were huge.
They were beasts.
Yeah, and he's just sitting in the middle of them, with that Shea Weber stare. It's like, yeah, of course you do. And then, of course, who can forget? And I don't think it was his dog, but Kevin Fiala holding the. It was like a little tiny dog that you wouldn't expect, but it was just so that's where the whole Fifi thing came from. Because he was holding that kind of dog.
Yeah, that makes sense. He shot that nickname down, though, didn't he?
He was not a fan of it. I think it stuck.
It's not the most masculine nickname for a professional male athlete.
What was so funny about him, I had the funniest interaction with him one time, and it was when I realized that sometimes people just like the hat. He walks in for Gladiator Days, and we're doing some interview stuff. He's wearing a Braves hat. I was like, oh, cool, the Braves. Are you a big fan? He just kind of looks at me. He's like, I have no idea what they are. I just like the hat. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
I mean, he is from the other side of the planet.
I know.
So.
I know. But Ryan Johansson heard that, and of course he was laughing and then gave him a hard time about it. So it was good. It was a fun time.
I'm very happy for you that happened.
Max Hers is with us. All right, so we got several pairs of tickets to give away for tonight's game. How would you like the people to win these tickets? I'm going to put you in charge of this.
Okay. Here's how we're going to do it, people. Before I say anything, it is not about who is first to text. If you are driving, please do not text. We'll give it till the end of the show to pick winners. Please don't text and drive. You could text at 2:59 and still win them.
Yeah.
So please don't text and drive. Text to 615-737-1025. Only if you can attend tonight's game, please. The game is at 7 o'clock at Bridgestone Arena, 501 Broadway, Smashville, Tennessee, which is actually the actual U.S. mail address is Smashville, Tennessee, by the way. So if you're having trouble finding the arena, talk to your
Kenny
postman.
the mailman
Kenny the mailman can help you, yeah. But text to 615-737-1025. We have a set of 4 and a set of 2 available, lower level tickets in the 1025 The Game Changer section for tonight. Text us who you'd bring, why you'd want to go, and why you deserve to go, and whether you want 4 tickets or 2 tickets to tonight's game, Preds versus Ducks. Text it to 615-737-1025 anytime between now and the top of the hour. And our fans here at Tennessee Brew Works are also eligible.
Okay.
If they would like to text.
They
might be first because they don't hear us on a delay like the rest of the world does.
They might.
But it's not about who's first. It's about who has the best story. And if you have, I don't know, you can send us a picture of your crew too.
Yeah.
Why you deserve it.
Do that.
We can receive pictures. Correct.
By the way, the food here at Tennessee Brew Works, we've been sampling the burger and the fries. Absolutely excellent. So
they should change their name to Tennessee Food Works.
But they could.
Because I can't have a beer right now because I have to go announce the game.
I know. And look, we all know that Hal Gill would love to come here to Tennessee Brew Works and have a pop or two.
He'd walk in and go, as if he's thinking about what he's going to order. Do you have a local IPA?
They do.
I'm sure they do. If they don't,
I
I don't know what all these barrels in the back are filled with.
Yeah, so several here at Tennessee Brew Works. 0264 or Jeff in 12 South says, 4 Max, I totally agree with your comments about the D in front of Saros. I thought the predictability in front of him changed when Alex Carrier was traded. He provided predictability and team high blocks. Thoughts?
I think the way they've changed the system this year, it's been a team effort blocking the shots, which has been good. And I really think it's about who's in that position that's going to be blocking shots, you know? So I think Carrier was a great shot blocker. I think he's a great all-around defenseman. It was really great to see him last week. And all of a sudden, at 29 years old, Carrier is the veteran on a really young team in his hometown in Montreal. So, yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I think that's accurate, but I think everybody's blocking shots. So I think Carrier they missed, but I think Barron has closed the gap on that trade for sure. I think he's played better. I think he needs to be more physical, and that's been the rally cry for him since he got here. He's a big dude. Justin Barron is a big guy. He's 6'2". He has really long arms. I would love to know his wingspan. They don't really use that in hockey. Like at the draft, they probably measure your wingspan, but he has a really long reach. He has a good stick. He's played good defense this year, and they're going to give him a run on the second power play, and they're going to keep him there tonight. So, it was a trade for the future, and I think we're getting to the point where you can start saying that Barron is building towards something in the future, and he's going to get a good long look this year. So it's time for him to keep proving it.
Yeah, and look, I like him too. I liked Carrier, and that was I remember talking to Barry Trotz about the moves and stuff that were made last year, and he said that one was a tough one, but like you just said, he had to look down the road, and what was coming down the road, and so he wanted to do right by Carrier, and I think sending him home to Montreal was the perfect scenario for him.
Yeah, and it's not like Carrier is playing on the top pair there. He's playing on the third pair,
right
behind some really good defensemen: Noah Dobson, Mike Matheson, Caden Gooley, and Lane Hudson, who defense is maybe not the way to describe him, but he won the Calder last year, and he's a great defenseman for a young guy. So, yeah, it's not like Carrier. I mean, Carrier and Barron are playing basically the same amount of minutes.
Right,
just Carrier is on a better team.
Right.
So,
Max Herz with us. So as we said earlier, Jonathan Marchessault, he's lower body, he's day to day, still not going to play tonight. Brady Martin will go back in, so we'll see that. What are you expecting from Anaheim? This is a team that
I have no idea.
I mean, we obviously know Joel Quenneville is now the head coach. He's made his return. I think this team clearly still needs a lot of work. They're young, I guess is the best way to put it, but they've been one of the worst teams in the league for a long time.
So they've played 5 games. They have led for 8.5 minutes of ice time in 5 games, but they're 2-2-1. So they have basically the same record as the Preds, the same points percentage. They've played 1 fewer game. But the big thing for the Ducks is their leading goal scorer, new to the Ducks this year, Chris Kreider of the Rangers, long time, who they traded for this summer, is not playing tonight.
Okay.
He was not at morning skate. We weren't provided with injury details. We'll probably get them closer to the game. But, yeah, Kreider is not playing tonight for the Ducks. He's scored 4 of their 14 goals through 5 games, and they're completely mixing up all of their lines in response to that. So I guess he got hurt in their last game, which was a 2-1 loss to the Blackhawks on Sunday in Chicago. I feel bad for Kreider because he's been reborn out there, and a lot of people question that move. I mean, they went old to pair up with some young guys, and their last couple of first-round picks are here. Leo Carlson, who was selected second overall in the draft here 2 years ago, the surprise pick ahead of Adam Fantilli, who fell to 3. And then last year, the Ducks made an even bigger surprise and took Beckett Seneca, who was supposed to go somewhere between 8 and 10. They took him 3rd. And hockey fans who watched the draft may remember or even saw on social media, he was the one who they drafted him, and they cut him in the crowd, and he had the most shocked face of all time that he went as early as he did. He's playing. He made his NHL debut on opening night, and he has 4 points in 5 games. So he's going to play tonight. Carlson, I think, is progressing really well. This is his 3rd season. So those are the big young names at forward. They have Jackson Lacombe on the back end, who they just gave a big deal to. They have Pavel Minchikov, Russian defenseman, who I like. No more John Gibson. Lukasz Dostal is their guy. He's starting tonight, and he has not been too good this season. So this is a game the Preds really need to win. They lost 3 in a row to end the road trip. This is the lowest standing opponent of the homestand based on last year's standings. Then you got the Canucks on Thursday, who we know from the playoffs what their potential is like. They missed the playoffs last year, but they're a good team. Saturday night, the Kings, who I think could be really good, especially knowing it's Anze Kopitar's last season.
Yeah.
They want to win it for him. Sunday night, the Stars. Mikko Rantanen is still on the Stars. They're going to be good for a long time on the back end of a back-to-back. And then a week from tonight, the Lightning. This is a tough homestand.
Yeah.
So you need a good showing tonight against the Ducks. And first game back from a long road trip is always hard. Ducks have been rolling on the road. They've been on the road. So they have the legs advantage, you would think, at least to start the game. So a win tonight would be huge.
Yeah, but I
really
do like how the schedule has laid out for the Predators to start. Of you have a couple games at home, then you go on the road for 4, then you're back for 5. I feel like that's much more favorable than what it was last year.
Yeah, well,
because starting at home as much as they did, I mean, I know.
Yeah, it was part of what doomed the season.
Yeah,
they were just stuck in a rut here and they couldn't get out of it. And the Maple Leafs have a similar thing on their schedule. We're talking to their announcers, and they're just like, we know you guys slogged through this last year, and we're just here, and the boys want to get on the road. And I think the Preds schedule was good. They don't play on the road very much until after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So a lot of home games over the next 5 weeks, and almost every Saturday is a Saturday in Smashville. So those needs to be full crowds, which they will be, and those need to be good results for the Preds against some good teams.
We have a lot of texts that have come in. Again, we will select these after the show and contact you if you are a winner for tickets for tonight's game. He's Max Herz. He's hanging out with – his name is Max Herz, as you like to say. My name is Max Herz. So there you go. That's how we'll properly do that.
I like to say that my name is my name, yes.
Yeah, I just you have like a way that you do it that I think is like your signature.
Well, you said this to me. I think it's a very nice compliment, and the only reason I say it like that is because if I say it almost any other way because of the letters my name starts with, it doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
If I say I'm Max Herz, it sounds like I'm Max.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah,
this is the radio, not an I'm.
My name is Max Herz. Like that's going to be the name of your book one day.
I'm not writing a book.
I think you.
I can
Hal
I can
Gill
auction off my.
Hal Gill can
notebook for
ghostwrite.
charity.
He'll ghostwrite it for you.
Jeez, you're going even less likely. We've been ragging on Hal this segment. When you hear the segment I recorded with him this morning at 6:15 tonight, where he says that I've been tolerable this year,
yeah,
just know he's joking.
That okay, we'll see.
Siri, what does laborious mean?
Al?
That was good. Well done, Dr. Curry. We will, but again, we'll continue to take your entries till the end of the show, giving away several tickets for tonight's game. But you get to participate coming up next in everybody's favorite segment. What day is it?
Oh, yes.
And celebrity birthdays. We're going to do that coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5 The Game. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5 The Game here on this Tuesday. Thank you, Max. Max Hers hanging out with me as Big Joe is on a jet plane heading to Delaware. The Blue Hens and the Blue Raiders tomorrow night. Should be fun. Quickly, tell people again how they can win tickets to tonight's game.
Do we not have enough entries?
We have several, but they're, we want to make sure we're fairly giving people enough.
Don't text and drive is the first way to win. 615-737-1025. Text us. We have a set of 4 and a set of 2 for the Preds game tonight at 7. If you can go to the game, which begins in 4 hours, please text us if you would like the set of 2 or the set of 4 and who you would bring and why you deserve it.
It is that simple. And we're a giving station. That is what we're here for.
Are people saying we're not a giving station?
No.
Okay.
But,
sometimes you just throw shade with stuff like that, and I thought I might have missed something.
Yeah. I do throw shades sometimes.
Only sometimes?
It's usually direct.
Am I ruining the show?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
I'm having fun.
A friend of mine said it's an inside joke that everybody's invited in. That's our show.
That's what I said.
You were the one that said that. I knew.
A friend.
A friend.
I guess
You
we
are
are friends.
You are a friend.
You're my boss.
Yeah. We're still friends.
Okay.
That's how it works. With that, let's get to what day is it in celebrity birthdays.
All right. First on the list is Back to the Future Day today. So
I love that movie.
there you go. Apple Day is today. 1 apple a day keeps the doctors away. I guess that's how it goes.
Dr. Crane.
Hey, there you go.
I don't want you to stay away. I want to hang out with you.
Exactly. I'll be around. Don't you worry. Babbling Day is today. That's typically radio from time to
Chase
time.
has been celebrating.
That's we do that. Ooh, reading Jerry's.
Celebration of the Mind Day is today. Check Your Meds Day is today. So that goes with the brain, I guess. Count Your Buttons Day. Garbanzo Bean Day. Global Iodine Deficiency Disorders Prevention Day is today.
It's a long one. Pause.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Not international. Information Overload Awareness Day. It's typically every
That's
day.
what Chase also deals with.
Yes. International Day of Nachos. So there you go. National Mezcal Day. You can pair that with the nachos. National Pets for Veterans Day. Shout out to the vets.
Nice.
National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day. Delicious. And then to wrap it up, we have Reptile Awareness Day. Pro-Life Day of Silence Solidarity. National Witch Hazel Day. It looks like a flower. And to wrap it up, World Bolognese Day.
I love you, Dr. Crane. All right, quickly, let's get to celebrity birthdays. Dr. Crane narrating today.
Yes, indeed. First on the list, we have model and reality star Kim Kardashian. How old is Kim Kardashian today?
How is JoJo not on the show today? That's his.
Yeah, did she ever reply to any of his tweets?
No, not one of them. Max can go first.
43.
40.
45. Max is on the board. 1-0.
Oh, nice.
All right,
Okay.
going to Chase here. Rapper and pop artist Doja Cat. How old is Doja Cat?
26.
29.
30. Max is up 2-0 already.
Yes.
All right.
All right, going to Chase here. This guy's name is Silky. He is a rapper. So how old is Silky, Chase?
Is he a Brazilian soccer player?
28.
He says he's a rapper.
I think Silky's old. I think like 53.
He's 28 on the nose.
Oh,
how about that? Tied
let's
at 2.
go.
TV actor Glenn Powell. How old is Glenn Powell, Max?
65.
Glenn Powell?
I don't know any of the mainstream.
He's the guy in the
celebrities.
new Twisters and that new
I
football.
don't know what that is.
thing.
I know the sports people, and I know Doja Cat and Kim Kardashian.
42.
37. So neither of you guys got that
Okay.
one. Next one is country singer Kane Brown. How old is Kane Brown,
Oh.
Chase?
34.
No, he's younger than that. He's 27.
32. Chase is up 3-2.
Well, I was still right. He is younger than 30.
That is true.
Yeah, but I still got it.
Next on the list, we have model Amber Rose. How old is model
Oh.
Amber Rose, Max?
Is that Wiz Khalifa's wife?
I'd assume so.
I think it might be. I'm just gonna guess how old I think Wiz Khalifa is, which is 37.
34.
42.
Okay.
And last on the list we hear is Judge Judy. How old is Judge Judy?
Oh, Chris Sanders, call in and tell us.
Am I up?
Yes.
Judge Judy, 78.
She doesn't look it, but she's 74.
83.
Oh!
Over to sports birthdays, we have former NFL linebacker Mo Lewis. How old is Mo Lewis?
Max goes first.
Yes.
Can I get a team?
New York
Do you know who
Jets.
Mo Lewis is?
The Jets.
Oh, I still don't know who that is. 50.
61.
He is 56.
Oh.
Next on the list, and this I'll wrap up here. Damian Martin, former Australian cricket
Are there any
batsman.
athletes I've heard of?
Well, trust me, I'm trying to look up some American athletes. None are popping up, but this
Does
is
he play for the Brisbane Ballyhoos? Dr.
no,
Crane, your
but they
favorite
won
team?
the NRL, Max. So do not give me grief for that.
Okay,
Damian
what are we
Martin.
doing?
How old is Damian Martin? Cricket player.
Is he a current cricketer?
No, he is a retired cricketer.
56.
94. I think he's a legend.
54. Chase. Oh my goodness. And to wrap it up, I don't know how to pronounce this, but I'll try. Former Serbian soccer player Nemanja. Oh, this is Nemanja Matic. Oh, sorry. Vidic. Excuse me. Vidic. Yeah. Played for Manchester United way back in the day. How old is Nemanja Vidic?
I have to go first every time?
No, 40, Chase went last time.
43. 43.
Okay.
53.
44.
Let's
Nice.
go.
Chase ends with a 4-3 victory.
Oh, I lost?
Oh,
Yeah, he was
that
up.
was good.
Happy birthday to Mrs. Predzikin, Rebecca Santamaria, also.
Oh, happy birthday. That's
and
a good
happy
one.
anniversary to Pete and Claudia Weber.
Oh, well, that's a good one for sure.
Their marriage turns 36 today, though it is not a celebrity.
Very nice. That is going to do it for us today. I appreciate Tennessee Brew Works for having us. And remember, guys, girls, we want you here. We want you to be here. If you need to talk to somebody, reach out. You can go to thegamenashville.com, the Chasing Big Joe page. We'll take you there, or call 988 on your cell phone. We love you, and more importantly, as Joe always says, God loves you. DVD coming up next here on 102.5 The Game.